Hi, welcome to the video. So in this video, I'm going to cover major triad arpeggios, and basically I'll give you all the primary shapes, enough to cover the whole neck, and then I'll also give you a few fingering variations you can do. I'll relate those primary shapes back to the CAGED system, if that helps you visualize them, but I'll also talk about more how I think about them, which isn't necessarily always that way. Before we jump into this though, if you like my videos, I'd recommend subscribing, because next month I change the name of it. It will be changed from Guitar Technique and Practice just to my name, Eric Naylor Guitar it will be. So if you're subscribed, you won't have to remember what the new name is, you'll still be subscribed. Otherwise, just look for Eric Naylor Guitar starting next month. So let's go and jump into these shapes. So what is the CAGED system? Basically, if you take the letters of the word caged, C, A, G, E, D, it represents those 5 open position chords. Now then you can use those shapes, like if I have a C chord, I can refinger that so I free up to cover up the open notes, and I can move it up to D, or D sharp, or any place I want on the neck. And you can kind of see that C shape is still inside that chord, so it helps you visualize what this fingering is. And then if I take like an E, I can do the same thing. I can move it up the neck, again covering up the open notes, to a G, A. So with arpeggios, so it's basically just a visualization aid is all it is. When I originally learned the scales, arpeggios and such, I had never heard of CAGED system. It was way back in the 80s. There was no YouTube or anything like that, so it wasn't something that any of my teachers or as a musician's institute really talked about. So you can definitely do it without that, but if it helps you to visualize that, go for it. Now, the arpeggios are a little bit harder to visualize than the bar shapes, because I'll be adding extra notes to those shapes. But if I take that first C, it's always going to be a C major. If I take the first one, I'm going to do the A major shape. If I make the bar shape, it's this, so visualize this shape. And I will show at the end both tablature and chord diagram, arpeggio diagrams for all these shapes. And these you can download for free on my Patreon page, which will be a link in the description. So you don't have to remember anything. You can download a JPEG of those and print them out. So anyways, this first one is just 3, 7, 5, 5, 5. And this I'm going to roll my hand with the notes right under or above each other on adjacent strings. So basically what I'm doing is I'm moving my whole arm to kind of create rolling action. It's not so much happening from the finger, but more from how my finger repositions on the strings. Okay, so anyways, that was 5, 5, 5, 3, 8. And again, that's from the CAGED system, your A major position. Now, you could do this in different ways. I can always choose, if I'm reaching forward for a note, to reach backwards for the note too. And as long as you're not crossing the B string, basically if I have a note at 2nd fret, that's E, if I add 5 to it, the string above it, 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 will be the same note. So I can reach back. Would be another way to finger that. Another option is when I do this basic fingering, I'm going to shift forward this time. I could still use my pinky, or I could jump to my 3rd finger, but I'm not going to go back to first G. I'm going to reach forward for that G now. I'm rolling my pinky, which some people don't like, but it's the most efficient way to get those 2 notes in my opinion. So that would be another option. So as you can see, there's more than one way to play these. And a lot of times when I think of these arpeggios, I think of it more as which direction am I going with it? Where is the root? So in this case, I've showed you 3 fingerings for the root being on the 5th string. 2 stayed in position basically, and the last one shifted forward. Now this next fingering I'm going to show you is a 6th string root one, and it's going to reach backwards. So that's your kind of options. Do you move forward, move backwards, or stay in position? Now this next one is coming off your G shape. So if you picture a G shape and then move it up the neck and putting right here, you'd have that type of chord. Now arpeggio, same thing, just. Now you notice that variation to this position back here is actually the same, with the only difference being where I reach for that root note. So it's they kind of overlap each other, and that's where you don't necessarily need to emphasize the shapes if you're already doing one that's very similar. You can think of the other one as just a variation on that first one you're doing. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to do the E shape from the CAGED system. So it moved up to the C note, so 8th fret, and it's going to be 8, 12, 10, 10, 9, 8, 8, 12. So you notice that actually has that F shape from the open position inside it. Now I could do the same thing like we did back on this one, and I could reach backwards for that note, and that would be perfectly fine. The rest would be the same. I could also, I'll show you another variation that moves forward in a second. Let's go and jump forward, and we'll skip the D position for now and play the C just an octave higher than the C position. And it looks almost identical. This one, you're only adding one note to arpeggio. The rest is just a straight chord shape. So there's that C. Now on any of these ones where the root isn't on the 6th string, like that first ones I did, if you want to add the 6th string to it, you could just add the G note right above the C. The C major is made up of C, E, and G, so this would just make an inversion, or if you're thinking chords, a C/G, is G's in the bass, but still a C major. The G is your 5th, so it would be considered a second inversion. But again, basically it's just a matter of knowing that you can always go above your root and add that note in. So the next one we're going to do is the D shape, the last one. So if you notice the D shape, it actually fits right inside that C shape. So really the only difference between this is reaching back for the C note instead of going forward for that C note. So I'd consider that more just a variation of C. I wouldn't really separate that as a separate one in my mind. But if it helps you think of it as the D, that's fine. But instead what I'm going to show as the primary shape for the D is we're adding our octave to it. So it's really going to be a combination of this position and this position together. So it's going to be so that one I think gives you a little bit more practice that will be beneficial than just doing the one note difference. So now on any of these, let's get into this a little bit deeper. If you look at these shapes, basically, I wrote them out with the letters involved, and so you can see the top one, and bottom one. So I'll just C, E, G. So if you want to play a single octave and go C, E, G, you could then jump forward to the next position and combine them together. Like if you don't really like that G position that much, I could play the first octave, then I could jump forward to this position and play the second octave in that. So you can recombine these in different ways. I could take this position and then I could reach forward and combine it with another position. If you want to see more examples of things like that, then I've got a video that I'll put up in the corner that's G major arpeggios across the whole neck. Basically I cover the whole neck, ascending and descending in different variations, all as one giant lick, which is a good way to kind of tie all these together and practice them as one idea. So you can kind of see the whole neck, because that's the end goal. It's not to see them as an individual, well, this is the A position, C position, whatever. You want to see, all these are C major. So wherever I am, I can then add in other notes from the scales, but then I can go back into these arpeggio shapes, or minor shapes, or whatever you want, and combine them together and not see the individual shapes as much as everything combines together into one thing. Let me show you the tablature quick. So here's a tab of everything we were doing, including the variations. I didn't include those last ones where I'm combining different basic shapes together, but again, you can do that just by looking at the sheets or looking at our video. Anyways, hope you liked the video, and thanks for watching.